All right, let's get into it. In the huge world of automation, there's a tool that's been making some serious noise, especially in developer and tech circles. It's called n8n. Today, we're going to break down exactly what it is, what makes it so different, and help you figure out if it's the right tool for your toolbox.
And look, I'm not the only one saying it's making noise. When you see quotes like this one floating around, you know something special is going on. People are calling this thing a powerhouse, a true challenger to the giants of automation. So, what's all the hype about?
To really get why n8n is turning so many heads, we have to talk about a problem that, let's be honest, we've all faced. I like to call it the automation trade-off.
And you know this dilemma, right? It's that classic choice. Do you go with a tool that's super simple and fast to get started with, but then you immediately hit a wall the second you need something custom? Or do you go all in, writing your own code, which gives you all the power in the world, but now you're stuck with a mountain of maintenance?
This really lays out the two extremes, doesn't it? On one hand, you've got the simple no-code tools. They're easy, they're fast, but they can get really limiting and shockingly expensive once you start to scale. On the other hand, you've got raw code. It's powerful, it's flexible, but man, is it complex and a pain to maintain. For years, you've basically had to pick your poison.
And this is precisely the gap that n8n was built to fill. It was designed from day one to shatter that trade-off, to give you the best of both worlds without making you choose.
So what exactly is n8n? Well, at its heart, it's a source-available node-based platform. Source available just means you can see and mess with the code. And the name n8n, it's kind of a nerdy nod to node automation because you build everything by connecting these visual nodes together.
And this right here is its DNA. Being source available gives you transparency. The visual editor is great for mapping out logic. But honestly, the real game changers, the things that set it apart are that you can self-host it, you can drop in your own custom code whenever you want, and you can extend it to do pretty much anything. It's less of a tool and more of a framework.
So all of those ideas really come together to form n8n's three pillars, the three things that directly solve that trade-off we talked about. It all comes down to power, control, and price.
Let's start with the first one, total control. For so many businesses, and probably for you, this isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a must-have. It's about owning your stack, owning your data, and owning your destiny.
And that control comes from its first superpower, the ability to self-host. We are talking about complete data sovereignty. Your sensitive user data, it never has to leave your servers. You can run this in super secure, even air-gapped environments. You totally avoid vendor lock-in because, hey, you own the whole platform. And as you grow, you control the infrastructure, which can be way, way cheaper than paying for those top-tier cloud plans.
All right, superpower number 2 is unlimited flexibility. This is all about destroying that no-code cliff. You know, that moment your great idea becomes too complex for your simple tool. n8n is built so you never have that problem.
This is where n8n just beautifully blends the no-code and pro-code worlds. You can start by dragging and dropping from a library of over 1,000 nodes. But the second you need to do something unique, bam, you just drop in a code node and write whatever JavaScript or Python you need. You can import libraries from NPM or PyPI, connect to any API out there, and build some seriously advanced AI agents.
Let's make that real for a second. Imagine building an AI agent. In n8n, you can see the flow. First, a trigger gets a user's question. Next, a node does a vector search on your own private database to find relevant info. Then, it sends the question and that context to an LLM, maybe even one you're hosting yourself, to cook up a smart, relevant answer. Trying to build this kind of sophisticated workflow on other platforms can be a nightmare, if it's even possible.
And that brings us to the third superpower, a completely different philosophy on pricing. It's a model that doesn't actually punish you for building cool, complex stuff. And this is huge. n8n flipped the script by offering unlimited workflows, unlimited steps, and unlimited users on every single plan. That changes everything. It encourages you to build and experiment without constantly worrying about a meter ticking up with every single action you add.
Just look at how different these models are. Zapier charges you per task. Make charges you per operation. That means every little step in your workflow costs you money. But n8n, it charges per execution. Your entire workflow, whether it has 5 steps or 50, can run from start to finish, and that counts as just one execution. For complex automation, the savings here can be absolutely massive.
So keeping those superpowers of control, flexibility, and price in mind, let's put n8n head-to-head with the big players in the automation space.
But first,
Just a quick dose of reality on the impact. The massive global company Delivery Hero built a single n8n workflow to manage their users. The result? They saved 200 hours of manual work every single month. That's the kind of concrete return on investment we're talking about.
Looking at this high-level view, the lines are drawn pretty clearly. n8n is built for developers and tech teams. It offers both cloud and self-hosting with deep code-level customization. Zapier is all about simplicity for non-technical users, cloud only. And Make kind of sits in the middle, with a strong visual builder, but still, cloud only.
So when you put n8n up against Zapier, it's a very clear choice. If you need something that is dead simple to use and has the biggest library of integrations imaginable, Zapier is your go-to. But if you need real flexibility, raw power, total control, and a pricing model that makes sense for complex workflows, n8n is the obvious answer.
Now, the comparison with Make is a bit more nuanced. Make has a really powerful visual builder and great tools for working with data, which can make it a bit easier to pick up. But n8n takes the lead when it comes to pure code-first power, more advanced AI capabilities, and of course, it has that killer feature Make doesn't, the option to self-host.
And so this brings us all the way back to you. The question isn't which tool is the best, it's which tool is the best for my team, for my skills, and for what I'm trying to build.
It really all boils down to this one simple but powerful question. Is the convenience of ultimate simplicity worth giving up the power of ultimate control? For a fast-growing wave of developers and technical teams, the answer is a clear no. And that is exactly why n8n is a name you're going to be hearing a lot more of.